if you missed it, the month of April is always a special month inside DaVinci Resolve because we get the update. This year, version 21 was announced, Blackmagic Design, Grant Petty showed off all the new changes, the updates, new features. I'm not sure how to feel about it. I think there's some really good changes. I think there's some small quality of life things that are really nice. So I just got back in town. I'm digesting everything. I'm just gonna go ahead and talk through things that I think are cool, important for me. I'm definitely not gonna cover everything, but let's go ahead and hop right into it. So there's two things I need to mention before we get into DaVinci Resolve itself. One is that they introduced a new Fairlight Live software. You can kind of think of this as like a standalone Fairlight page, but with more features. It's more fleshed out for audio mixers, sound designers. This won't be something that I will probably ever use, but it is really cool if that's your field. And to go along with the software, they've also added a Fairlight Live mixer. There's a few different kinds of the hardware, but that is very cool. The reason I mentioned this will become a little bit more apparent at the end of the video, but the big thing that they announced that they spent a lot of time talking over was the new photo page in DaVinci Resolve. This is a brand new page inside DaVinci Resolve that could be analogous to something like Lightroom. So if you are a photo editor and a videographer, this is great for you because you can now take the color page and apply it to just your photos. Now, my little pea brain struggles to understand some of the more complicated imagery stuff, so I had Camera Tim explain to me why this page is so cool, and what he said is that the photo page will be very, very powerful for pre-processing raw stills. So if you're somebody like him who captures imagery on your Fuji camera, you can now work with the color space and gamma that you need to create albums and even rate your photos so that it's easy to sort through what is good, what's bad, and you can even rate your stills. It's very easy to create albums and sort through lots of pictures, grade those pictures quickly, all within your DaVinci Resolve workflow. Let's start off with some quality of life changes. One, and this is one that I haven't seen mentioned a lot, is that you can now bring in affinity files. So yeah, if I go over and I grab a .af file, put it in my media pool, I can then drag that file onto my timeline, and just like Photoshop files, you can now right click, split layers in place, and now I have both layers split up. They've also introduced the ability to render, transcribe, and create proxies in the background, which I think is so nice. So now, if you want to start up a render and then continue to work on a timeline or get something else going, you can now do that. The bigger thing here that I personally am going to use more is the transcription and the proxies. So a lot of times if I'm working on a big recording, I'll have to wait for DaVinci Resolve to transcribe it. Or if I need to set up a lot of proxies, you either have to use Blackmagic's proxy generator, which is a separate software, or you have to create your proxies in the program and then again, wait for it to run before you can get back to editing. To find those settings, there is now a new search bar in the preference menu. So if you go up to DaVinci Resolve, Preferences, there's now a new search bar up top. So I could look up background and find background render. And you can see we have settings for background rendering, transcription, proxy generation. Now, Fairlight did get its own standalone software, but inside DaVinci Resolve itself, it really only got one update, but it is a big one. You can now put tracks in folders, meaning that if you have a group of sound effects, voiceover, music tracks, you can group those tracks into folders, collapse them, work and manage with them in a more controlled system. It does look like, though, that you won't be able to use these folders on the edit page, which is a bit disappointing. I think I can understand why, but it would be nice if we could set up folders on Fairlight and then see those collapsed tracks on the edit page. The media pool got a generational update. Shout out the media pool. They had a good day yesterday. For one, you can now have tabs in the media pool. Holy guacamole. The big update here, and this is on the edit page, is a revamped IntelliSearch. Now, anytime I use the word Intella or AI, I would assume that it's a studio feature. The cool thing with IntelliSearch is that you can search up anything, and I mean anything. So I could search up a dog, a cat, an individual person that you've named, and it will find it in all of your footage. So what you could do is use its auto classification to classify everything in your media pool, and then use IntelliSearch, and not only will it find the clips with it, but it will also highlight it within that footage, meaning that if you use the thumbnail preview, it'll give you a little snippet of where that person exists in the clip. Very, very, very cool. The color page didn't seem like it got a ton of changes outside of some new AI tools. These are the ones that I think were probably the most prominent. The one I personally think is going to be the most powerful is the new AI Cine Focus. This is a new focal / depth of field blur in the color page, and it looks very, very strong. There's a lot of controls. It feels very granular, and hopefully it runs / processes things semi-well. The next is a new blemish removal tool, and I'm assuming this is good for people who work in more professional settings. Probably nothing I'll ever use, but you know, if that's your speed, go crazy. And they've also introduced AI face age and shape transforms. Again, I guess this is kind of cool. I feel like this is probably something that can't replace actual visual effects and compositing, but I don't know what I'm talking about. Could be cool if that is something that you use. The other one that I'm more excited about is the new AI Ultra Sharpen tool. Right now, there are a lot of third-party tools that can up-res and kind of faux sharpen footage, like something like Topaz. Well, DaVinci Resolve now has introduced their own version, and this won't be the last time I say this. We'll just have to see how well this works. On the surface, very, very nice. I tend to work with a lot of screen recording, so having the ability to up-res and help out low bitrate stuff, really great for me. One of the features that I'm the most excited about is a new render in place option for Magic Mask. My PC is entering the little engine that can territory, so it struggles a lot of times when I'm doing a lot of caching, a lot of masking, a lot of processing. So I often, no matter what, have to render things in place. So now that there's ability to do that, really, really nice for me. One of the other changes they made that is a bit funny to me is that in the color page, you can now view your nodes as layers. I don't get this one. I guess, if you don't like nodes, good for you, but I feel like the whole point of using the color page is nodes. So I don't know, go crazy, use your layers. There will be a new option in the upper right-hand corner that can change your node view to a list view. Onto the edit and fusion page, and this is where I start to get pretty excited. Small but nice change that they made is that you can now copy and paste clip colors, markers, and flags. So if I go over to this green clip here, hit Control-C to copy, select this new footage, Alt-V to paste attributes, you can see I have some new options up top to change the color and the flags. I can apply and voila. Another really fun one that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about is if I now go up top to the index and go to the tracks option, I can now hide tracks that I don't want to see. So if I'm working on a particular busy piece of my timeline, I go over and let's say hide a few tracks so that I'm only now working with my text files. Yeah, that one's kind of cool. They've also introduced native Lottie and Ograph file support in DaVinci Resolve. I'm not familiar with this file type. It seems like it's a web-based animation file type, specifically with like JSON graphics. If that's you and that's what you work with, great. That seems cool. They also have added a update timings button to working with captions. It seemed like this is more geared towards their word-by-word animation style. If you've done any captioning inside DaVinci Resolve, you know that a lot of times the spacings and timings of them is just off enough. So I'm curious if this will give you the ability to update timings just on the caption itself, or it's more specifically geared towards the animations. One that I heard them mention that I'm pretty excited about is that when you drop a mono sound effect file onto a stereo audio track, and now it'll play out of both headphones, which is great because there's so many times you put a file in there and it's only in your left headphone and you go, dang it, why? Or it's like half the volume, so very nice. They've also updated and added some new features to the animation tools on the edit page. The first is that you now have 4-point Bezier retime controls, meaning this is not for general splining controls. This will only be for speed ramping and working with the retime controls. Another nice change is that you can edit the same spline on multiple clips at once. So let's say you're changing the zoom or the position on multiple clips. Well, you can drag and select those clips and change the spline on all those clips at one time. One thing that they did do, and this is kind of a fun, is that they've just kind of improved and cleaned up some of the UI interface stuff. So we've got some new icons in the inspector tab. And if you are a timeline tab person like me, I like to edit with my tab timelines. You know that when you start a new project, those tabs are always closed. I don't know why, but now if we go over to our timeline view option, there's a new set as default view button. So every time you open a new timeline, you'll have your tabs. And the other nice one, and this is something that I wanted a little while ago just because I'm a weirdo, you can now turn off clip names. So if I were to scrub down now, we can see our clip names here, but if I were to go up to that menu, toggle that off. Oh, look how pretty that is. There's just a certain point where things get a little too busy on the timeline, so the fact that I can turn that off just makes me happy. The big AI update for the edit page is a new speech generator. This is going to be very similar to any third-party text-to-speech tool that you can think of, where you type in some text and it generates voice lines for you. You also have the ability to upload your own voice, so it will create a voice model for whatever voice you feed it. If you are somebody who is worried about the ethical uses of AI and your information and privacy, the way Blackmagic Design uses their AI processing is all locally and offline, meaning that if you use your voice to be used as a voice model, it will all stay local. Nothing will get sent to a server. It'll all be processed on your PC. Something else that they made a new hubbub about is some new text stuff. So if I bring in my text note here, there's a new spell check thing. So let's say I type in frugo. Well, if I look in the upper right corner, I now have a red line. So I can right click there and change it to frog. They also have a new font browser, which is very, very cool. The thing that's a little bit of a bummer is that it's a pop-out window. So there's a new icon next to it where I click that, and then I can view what my fonts are going to look like. You can change what the words are here, and you can set favorites. So if you got a couple fonts that you like, set favorites, you go to your favorites tabs, they will be there. This is something that's very, very nice and is much needed in DaVinci Resolve. I just wish that I could see them here. The thing that's crazy is that you can see them on the normal text title. So if I go to a text title, right, not the text plus, and I go to that drop-down menu, there you go. I can see them there. And now we get to talk Fusion, which is what I'm excited about. One of the biggest changes we got is a new macro editor. Thank the maker. If you've operated in Fusion to any capacity, you know how scary the normal macro editor is. Now, we got a new updated one. It looks very intuitive. I haven't messed around with it yet, but it looks so much friendlier than the old one. So well done there, Blackmagic Design. One thing that I'm personally very excited about is a new audio visualization tool. This is only something that I need to use on very specific scenarios, but in the past, it is surprisingly difficult to get audio wave previews of your timeline. Very, very cool. One of the most powerful changes that I think is going to be the most useful for the most amount of people is the new multi-inspect node tool. So if I select my two merge nodes here, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a new icon that I can click that says combine selected tools. If I click that, you'll see now it says 2 tools selected, and I can change the size property of both merge nodes at the same time. So you can select as many tools as you need to change at the exact same time. This is going to be very, 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 very nice. I've also caught that media in nodes. Now preview the file name that drag and drop in, which is extremely helpful. And we now have alignment options for text plus nodes. There were some updates to the USD toolset, which seems probably really nice for those who use those 3D tools for compositing. And they introduced a new relief map. Again, not something that I'll use, but if you live in that 3D world, probably great for you. They've also brought over the speed warp tool from the edit page to Fusion. This is something I am very, very, very excited about because I actually do a lot of speed changes in Fusion. So the speed warp tool looks very cool. They've also added the ability to pop out the spline menu, which is so nice because now I have my full node workspace that I can do. I can pull this off to my other monitor and work with it. This seems very nice. The one update that I was hoping that they would do is revamp the keyframe tab in Fusion. Now, like the spline tab, you can also pop this out now, which is great, but it just is still really difficult to work with. I don't know about you, but personally, I never use this. I end up having to use the spline menu if I'm working with multiple nodes and different keyframes. I would love the ability to change the individual track sizes with the keyframes or change the interface so it's a little bit similar to the edit page where we actually have like keyframe icons that we can slide around. This tool it just still feels like it needs a lot of love, but you know, maybe in 22, we'll get a new keyframes panel. The two final changes that I thought were personally the coolest was one, you can now have Fusion variables. So if you are somebody who uses expressions often in Fusion, you can now create variables that you can call in your nodes. This to me is a very, very, very big step. You can kind of already do this with some inline editing, but the fact that we can simplify this to a variable list is awesome. And the biggest news for Fusion is that we now have the entire Crocodove Fusion motion graphics suite inside of Fusion. Now, Crocodove has been around for a while and it's been kind of unofficially supported inside DaVinci Resolve, but now they will be nodes that you can call natively inside of Fusion. These will be things like color tools, pixel tools, 3D tools, positional tools, text modifiers. They're gonna have vector tools, warping tools. It's a lot. And while it's not necessarily new to Fusion, it is very cool that it's now officially adopted and will be inside the program for everyone. But I have mixed feelings about this update. I think what has happened here this round is that a lot of time has been spent releasing the Fairlight Live page and the photo page. Both of those are massive endeavors for the Blackmagic design team, and it looks like they did a really good job getting those out. But if you were to compare 21 back to 20 was kind of a revolutionary change for DaVinci Resolve. And one of the things that was said was that this was going to lay the groundwork for kind of the modernization of the program. And I feel like we're taking steps there, but there's a lot of like really simple things that are still missing, like the ability to copy and paste attributes on text plus titles, or there's even just things like the ability to add motion blur to edit page animations. So one of the reasons that I still animate in Fusion is because let's say I want to animate an image or a video off screen or into screen. I can now do that with splines on the edit page, but if I want to add motion blur, I can't do that. So I often just go into Fusion, add a transform and do that. But let me know what you feel. Let me know if there's things that you're wanting to see in DaVinci Resolve. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Peace.